Hello people, thank you for joining me back here. It's always nice to have your company. And welcome to another 2 parts of Build Your Own R2D2. Parts 85 and 86. And 85 is very exciting because by the end of it we'll have the lumps of metal on the top of the legs finally bolted on. That's going to be exciting for me. So let's see what's in 85. Okay, is this some kind of conspiracy? Because every single time I've got this piece here, it's already together. And then the magazine goes on to show you how to put it together. Well, that I will not be showing you because, as you can see, it's been done. But, of course, there are other bits that aren't together. This is the final part of the body, so there's another milestone we've reached, and with that you get the last semicircle of plastic there. Sadly just plastic. Still say that should be metal because the inside is metal, so how does it make sense that that's metal and that's plastic? Anyway, let's get on and see what we need to do first. Okay, first thing is we are putting this pre-made bit of plastic into this piece of plastic, and we're screwing it in at the back with 2 4mm screws, not 6mm. Not after the last time. Let's go and screw this in. Alright, next we're putting this into that, onto the back. This bit is, of course, going onto there. As you can see, I've already screwed that bit in, like so. And then you are screwing all 4 of these into place with more 4mm black screws, not 6mm. Let's go and bolt this into place. That's that part in, and the last thing we need to do is pop this bit in. But we only are popping it in, we're not screwing it in. At least, not yet. There we go. That's popped. Very nice. Okay, that's the last part we need to do on this section. So now it's on to the exciting part, which will finish off a very significant part of the main cage, or the main support frame, I should say. Next, you are taking the internal frame with the hole at the top, and you're taking one of these lumpy bits of metal that's been sat around in your house or your flat for many moons, and you are matching the 2 pins up the top to the 2 pins there, and the holes need to match up as well, so that it ends up diagonally, like so. And then you need to take 4 8mm silver screws, and I don't know if you can see, no, this is not going to focus. It's got a little tiny washer on the end, a split washer. You've got a little bag of those for this part, and you're screwing them in all 4 holes right there. So let me go and see if these go in nicely. Okay, it was fairly easy to get on, I guess. They say to start with the left side, which is marked L right there. But again, I really don't think it matters which side you start with, but I've done it by the book. I'm started with L, so I've just got to put R on, which surprisingly is the right hand side. Alright, we've reached the end of 85, and in case anyone's wondering, why didn't you mention which way to put that up, that the hole needs to be facing down? Well, I did think about that myself, and it basically will only fit one way, because the pins are close together one edge and far apart the other edge, so you can only fit it in that way. That's another genius of design there. That being said, that's the end of 85. Let's go and see what's in 86. Oh, joy of joys. 86 is dealing with no less than 3 of my favourite things. Number 1, hinges. Number 2, the black pieces that join the body parts together, body sections together. And number 3 is gluing. So this is going to be fun. Okay, here's where the fun begins. You take this piece, the silvery piece, the stubby fat piece basically, and the only black ring that there is, and you're putting it that way up so that the bit that's sticking out is pointing towards that notch there. It says fit the interface base on the interface mount. It's at times like these I'm thinking, what are you talking about? Anyway, you're fitting that onto there, and then you're taking this very bulbous piece there, which looks a little bit like the end of my super glue. Sure, that's just coincidence, and they're not taunting me at all. And then you're putting that onto the end of there, and you're gluing it. To be honest, I'm not sure where I'm going to glue it. Probably around the surface of the silver plastic in the middle. I'm going to go and glue this now and have lots of fun. Is it just me, people? Is it just me? Come on. What are you trying to do to me here? Anyway, this is on there, and it's hopefully not coming off for the rest of my life. Next, you need to glue again. Oh, joy of joys. You need to glue this on top of this, like so. Looks nice and simple, but it's going to be a bit harder to do it without glue spilling over the edges, but it needs to look like that, which of course leaves you wondering, why could they not just give you that bit made like that? I'll tell you why, because there's 100 parts to get through. Strangely, it seems to have worked out okay. Definitely no glue showing through. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, I'm sorry. I basically I slapped some glue around the male part of this part of the silver plastic. That seems to have been the best idea. So there's my recommendation for you if you want to avoid any glue spilling out around the edge there. Try that, because it worked for me. Next, you're taking BP27, which is the tiny little black plastic piece, and you're slotting that into BP28, which is the piece with the cog on the end. For the book's sake, I'm going to hold it up this way. You can see where the nut's going in the top there. If it will ever focus. Do you think it's going to focus? Oh, look at that. That's where your nut's going. And you're sticking it in the end there, and that's where you're putting the screw. These are one of the silver screws, the weird ones that you got in the bag with part 85. Okay, that moves nice and freely, as you can see. But eagle-eyed viewers may have spotted that I missed a step. I'm trying so hard to get this right and go through all the steps properly. But you need to glue this bit into that bit. It will only go one way. So that's your final piece of gluing. It doesn't matter too much that I did this bit first, but if you're going by the book, as I always want to, then you need to glue that into there before you do that bit. That's where we are. It is what it is, etc, etc. I'm going to glue that in now. Alright, should look like that. Next you will need the compartment, which I think is the final compartment, and you need to fit this with the little tiny screw that way up into the hole in the compartment edge there, and you're screwing it in with a 6mm, not a 4mm. It's your standard normal 6mm ones, and of course that will be angled down like that. And I've got a feeling that, if I remember rightly, holding it down like that is the only way you're going to be able to screw the screw in. Let me go and do that. There's no confusion as to which hole it goes into, because that's the only hole other than the hinge holes at the edge, right at the edge. Okay, this is another symmetrical stage. So the first bit I'm going to show you, and the other piece, the other side, will be exactly the same thing that you do. So taking one of your little silvery plastic hinge parts, putting it on the outer edge, and then you're driving a 11mm black screw, which apparently you got in part 76. Luckily I found two that look exactly like that. I'm guessing it's not this monster. Look at the size of that. I don't even know how big that is, but it's not that one. So you're sticking them on the edge, the outside edge of the hinge, and screwing them in. Okay, that ranks right up there as one of the worst parts of the entire build, because you've got these tiny little screws that you're meant to ram into these bits of plastic that are tiny little hooks, and you think you're going to snap them off, and the only way to counter the pressure of screwing those down is to push up against that, which is a plastic edge, so it's digging into your finger or thumb the whole time, and it's really hard to screw it in there. So, I mean, they're not even flush, and to be honest, I don't want to push those any further, because if that snaps off, what are you going to do? It's all over. So, with those being done, you need to match them up to the holes in the edge, right at the edges. And once you've done that, you'll need to screw them in with 6mm screws again into each hole there at the edge. Let's go and do the nice bit. Okay, by contrast to the aforementioned horrible piece, those two screws went in like that. So there's your hopefully final compartment, because I really don't want to do any more of those hinges. They're still loose. There's my slightly dodgy door. That is the end of this section, because there's another part. Okay, here we go with the weird procedure again. You need to end up with the tool pointing downwards to the bottom of R2D2, and to do that you need to open the door, take this piece, have the hole that side, slide it down, slide the door through first, down the widest bit they say. I can't really tell that that's the widest bit. And you're sliding it through there so that all these pillars meet up with the holes which you'll be screwing in, and you need to make them meet up with the ones on the edges as well, and magically by the time you turn it over and turn it up the right way, your tool will be pointing downwards, as you can see. So that's what you need to go and do, and you're finding 5 more self-tapping screws to screw that in. So got to go and find 5 of those. I'm not quite sure where from yet, but I'll find them, then we'll have that little section complete. There we go, all in. To be honest with you, I just grabbed 5 screws out of the new bag, one of the new bags that I got with this part. I just thought, come here. So that's that part done, and now we are joining this final panel onto the other, or part of the other bulk of the body. Alright, next you're flipping this part over for one, and you need the semicircle you can see there, and you're doing it at the top edge, and out of these two you need a thinner one, because as you will see, if you try to get the thicker one in, yes, you could just about make it go on, but it feels really awkward. But the thinner one, bosh, it's on straight away. And also there's a little number 1 you can see just underneath the arrow, and you need to point that towards the little triangle that you may be able to make out. I'm not sure. Anyway, so you're screwing that in with a 6mm flange screw, which is the one with the little Mexican hat on. Very nice. Okay, next you're getting your L-shaped piece of black plastic and fitting it onto there. Now, I've tested this, and as far as I can tell, it doesn't matter which way round it goes, as long as it's not like that. Screwing this in with the same screw as we've just used on that top piece. Okay, and finally you're putting this thicker piece onto the final pillar at the bottom, and just to make life interesting, you need to make sure that the arrow is pointing away from the part this time. There's the R on the edge. Okay, we're nearing the end now, and coincidentally, I'm nearing the end of my day, or my night, whichever way around it is. You're taking all 3 pieces, which is obviously going to be the last 3 pieces that you've worked on, because all the other 3 are already joined together. You're taking first of all the right side piece, the one that you've just been working on, and you're hoisting that over the middle piece, finding the pillars to load the black brackets onto, and also the middle one, which is right there by my thumb. That's all down nicely, and you need to screw those 3 pieces in with your little Mexican sombrero screws. And there it is. That's feeling really solid now. I think it's because there's so much extra bulk. So next, you're taking the other side, which is what you did God knows how long ago, and you're slotting that onto the other side, like so. And there's 4 brackets you need to screw in, again with the Mexican sombrero screws. Okay, we progress. That is it. The end of part 86. You can really see that coming together now. Finally. Can you see the end in sight? Neither can I, but it definitely is, because we've only got 13 more parts. 2 of those parts are coming in the next video, and I'm getting too tired to speak any longer, so I'm going to go to bed, and I hope to see you in the last 2 parts for this month. See you then.